Things are going to start happening to me now.
You've done all the reading. You're a scholar. You're a professor. You've done all the reading. You've done the intellectual heavy lifting.
More or less, eat shit and die.
You wouldn't know a fact if it begged you all night long.
Want to give the wrong impression because I am very high.
Fucking round up behind him with a hatchet, smash, smash, smash.
Yeah, care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen.
That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody, to the next edition of Libertarian Podcast Review. This is your humble host, Tyler Yonke, coming to you from a Friday, April 22, 2022. Hope you're all doing good. It's a Friday. Are you excited? I'm excited. A lot to go over. I have a clip show. Yeah, an amazing clip show. We're going to get right to it. Let me just give you some updates. Who am I? I'm Tyler. It's for all the listeners and subscribe. First of all, subscribe. Click the subscribe button to YouTube. That's a great way. We're on locals as well under Libertarian Podcast Review. And also you can find us. We stream live on Twitter. We're up there right now. And also on Odyssey. So Libertarian Podcast Review, I think it's just maybe at LPR on Odyssey. But the best way is to go to my Twitter page, TYLERJANKE. And then there's a link tree there. You can find everything, find all my snarky stuff and a little bit of legal stuff you got as well. We're going to get into all of it. So a few weeks ago, I put out a thing, Dave Smith, Joe Jorgensen, and just to let you know, so I played a bunch of Dave's retort, or what his whole thing on his podcast from like 2017, and I didn't quite play all of it, just in full disclosure, but nothing was of material. You can go find it. I might just take the whole portion and post it up as its own thing, just so everyone has a chance to it. Who am I? My name is Tyler. I'm an attorney. I live in Northern California. I do this Libertarian Podcast Review. It's Libertarian adjacent, right? What we say is we're finding those autistic Liberty stars you just didn't know you needed to have in your life, but they're here and you are going to get a earful today. And you can watch it as well. Okay, so I thought we would just start off with a few things here. I've been on a few shows recently. Fact check this podcast with Justin Campbell. It's been great. I was on 2 episodes of that. The Porky Mind podcast with Adam Nutter, really had a good time there as well. Year Zero with Tommy Salmons, that was fantastic. That's audio only. Maybe I'll try to put some links in there. But once again, if you go to the Twitter page, you'll see all that there as well. Outlaw podcast with Chumley or Leighton Radner, and then fact check this podcast again with Justin Campbell. We just did that last week. I did a double up on Tuesday, actually, this week. The Outlaw podcast, we talked mostly about the Johnny Depp stuff. I gave you some legal input there. I think you might really enjoy that. I'll probably steal those shows and post them as my own. The fact checked one, we had Justin hosted it. He does a great job. He just kind of sits back, so throw some things out there. We had some homework to do that we checked out this video, and then me, Jose Galasan of NoWayJose, and Magoo of the rant. What is it? Ignore the Rant podcast. Dude I really enjoy being on shows with him because he's just got a fun, easygoing way about him. Not that Jose and Justin don't as well, but Magoo, good stuff there. Anyway, check that out. It's kind of the demise of the internet, and we talk there. My goal on a lot of this stuff is serious talk on some of these things, and then you cap it off with irreverence, and it doesn't always go, or people maybe don't always understand. But I do. By the way, we're live, so I should probably look and see here. No comments, no viewers. Perfectly fine. This was just random, out in the open. If you check me, it's just finding me in the wild. Friday drink. Okay, let's start off with. So last Sunday, I'm doing yard work, and I'm pounding away. I'm just doing the stuff in the backyard. It's sweaty. I'm hot. And I'm just blowing through a bunch of the feeds of the Unfit Statesman, Zach Brown, And I just come across this clip, which I just want to play. First of all, guy is super funny. I featured him a few weeks ago. So let's just play this clip from episode 176, the CIA, the Fed, and a Turk pill. And by the way, if you have a viewer out there, if you can't hear, let me know. We should be able to good to go.
Thank you for joining me. And listen, you know I love you. You know I love you. I got a big bump in numbers, by the way. And I want to give a shout out real quick to who I'm pretty sure is responsible for it. Number 1, Pete Quinones. Number 2, Reed Coverdale. And number 3, I forget his name. He hosts the Pod Review. Whoops, I had a Kanye video pulled up. Let me see. Pod Review. Let me see if I can get his name. Tyler Janke of Pod Review. He put me on his show ranting about the Nazi presence in Ukraine. And so I think those 3 things that happened in the span of 2 days really gave me a bump in numbers. So if you're new, thank you for joining me. Join the Patreon. Don't be a little bitch. Don't be a little bitch. Fucking go to the Patreon. Don't be a little bitch. Okay? Don't be fucking Zelensky without a beard. Don't be Zelensky without a beard. Be Zelensky with the beard, because for some reason his PR campaign believes that him growing out a beard is going to make all the difference. And to be quite honest, they're not wrong. He looks much better with a beard. He looks just way better with a beard. Without a beard, he looks like like an SNL guy. He looks like he should be on the cast of SNL making woke, unfunny jokes. With the beard, he looks like he is a conservative, but a moderate conservative from Maine, right? From Portland, Maine. So, he owns guns, but he's also for very common sense gun control, and he doesn't have a staunch opinion on abortion. But that's it, folks. Like I said, thank you to those 3 parties that I mentioned before, and hopefully we'll keep growing. Like I said, it was a big spike. I had more people join the Patreon than I thought would. I thought I was going to have a dead 6 months. I thought it was going to take a lot longer for anyone to join, to be quite honest. I thought it was going to take a lot longer, but we've got patrons, and I thank you to all of you and everybody who supported the show up to this point. I thank you, and come back next week. And please, a Turkish man, for fuck's sake, have a little pride. Have a little fucking moral code, okay? Why don't you tilt your fucking moral compass toward north for once? Orally pleasure a Turkish man. Thank you.
There we go. And that's Zach. He has this uncanny ability. I thought I'd play that one for a few reasons. One, he just can kind of flow and scatterbrained and go all directions. So there's that part. But I also should know that Abe Lincoln was told, "Hey, Abe, you should have a beard. I think you look better with a beard. It's much more conducive to whatever." And he gets elected, and then he gets killed in a theater. So just throwing that out there, Zelensky-ish problems that you brought up there, Zach. Okay, but what I thought he was just then, I saw today, Zach was on Reed Coverdale. First of all, thank you for shouting us out. I doubt I was the one that had much to do with that, but I'd be glad to do that. And obviously Pete and Reed, much bigger reach. And then he was just on Reed's show, so I thought we'd play some clips of that, because once again, I thought some good stuff, pretty funny. Zach Brown, not of the band, but of the red-haired variety. I would be curious to, and by the way, I play these clips at 1.25 speed just so I can get through them a little quicker. So if you listen to podcasts on a little bit more of an ump like I do, about 1.5 speed, this is really going to kick you into gear when you listen to my clips that I play here. Zach Brown today, at least, was it today? I don't know. This is when I watched, at least, on with Reed Coverdale, The Naturalist Capitalist. This one is about a little bit of his origin story, which I thought was good stuff. Here we go. Go.
I know a little bit of your backstory. You were a Tulsi supporter and a Bernie supporter before that. So you were obviously not in the mainstream. You weren't in the mainstream wave of thought when it came to politics. But what brought you to where you are now? What was your journey like over the last couple of years?
So I ping-ponged around a bit. When I first started, I was a Bernie supporter because I was, young and wide-eyed and thought, I said, wouldn't it be great if everybody could afford healthcare and they could just go in and get the best treatment? And Bernie was like, yeah, we can do that. And I was like, let's do it. I was like, I would love that. I don't want anyone to have to go in debt because they had cancer. I want that. And so plus, even back then, I knew about the Clinton body count. So even in the primaries when Clinton and Hillary was running, I was like, Hillary's she might not be a lizard, but she's not human. And so I voted for Bernie in the primaries, did not vote in the general election, Hillary versus Trump. I didn't want Hillary, but I still definitely was like, I had a little bit of the Trump derangement syndrome. That's what I get for living with my mother at the time. This is back when I was like 18, 19. And then weirdly enough, for a very short period of time, I was actually like conservative. So I was, kind of, I started paying attention, and what Trump was doing didn't seem to be all that different from what anybody else did, like policy wise. And so I was like, this is not as bad as I thought it would be. And then what happened was, particularly under Trump, I noticed the absolute deranged behavior from the left. And I was like, because I never liked woke shit. I was always very anti-woke bullshit. And so I saw the deranged behavior of the left. And so I got into like those fucking, own videos. It was like Milo Yiannopoulos owns college student, Ben Shapiro owns, and I'm very embarrassed to be saying this on your show right now. Ben Shapiro owns fucking, libtard.
5-year-old with pink hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Steven Crowder owns prepubescent child. No, it's truly, it was so.
Yeah, I was there at the time too, man. It's all good. No shame.
Yeah. So I got super into those, and I'm like, you know what? I might be conservative. I very well might be conservative. And then I started kind of being like, I would pay a lot more attention to conservatism. And it's just, it wasn't even like within like maybe a month, I was like, I don't know about all this. And so like, cause I would listen to like Mark Levin, and he would just like, even like Israel versus Palestine. I still am not even, I'm not even quite as anti-Israel and pro-Palestine as you are. I'm, but even that, like when he was just blindly following Israel, I'm like, yeah, but that was it. Like he would be like, what was the soldier? What was the IDF supposed to do? That 10-year-old had a rock and they threw it. And I'm like, but that seems excessive. So I just kind of slowly shifted away from that mindset. And I'm saying maybe the conservative mindset really isn't for me. And then I was nothing. And so that's when I started my podcast, when I was legitimately nothing.
It's a good time to start a podcast.
Yeah, I know. There's just no political identity and really no idea what you're talking about. So I had traces of being slightly conservative, and then nothing else. It was just a void. It was just a complete and utter fucking vacuum, and where ideas went to die. Truly, I would think ideas out. Like I put these up on my Patreon, and it's like the first 100 episodes. I went back and listened to like episode 5, and I was like, what the fuck am I talking about? I can't even speak. I wasn't even speaking correctly. It was insane, truly. And then eventually, I forget who I first like was exposed to as far as like being a like libertarian. I can't even remember who it was, but it kind of, it was just by gradual exposure, I suppose. I followed one libertarian, and then another, and then another, and then another, and then another, and then it was just through gradual exposure. I was like, yeah, this seems to be the closest thing I can get to a political community. Because like I said, I still don't know if I consider myself fully a libertarian, but this is by far, I'm very close. I'm very closely aligned. And
we'll stop it there. So you get a little idea there. And look, we just popped in here. Tyler, you rock. Appreciate you and your show. That's David Brady. David, I thought you just had a show. I did this one specifically to subvert yours. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe you're done and over. I was checking out a little bit of it there. Thank you, David. He also said that this episode was glorious. It was. So I just thought one quick thing there. I know. First of all, Zach, it's an interesting story coming from the Bernie bro, and he's young enough and to actually get out of that, because sometimes we get so set in it took me years to come out of the conservative thing, and you still have some pull towards that in a few ways. But it was interesting also to hear that, and then also to hear kind of his point of view of Reed and saying, I'm not as anti-Israel, pro-Palestine. I don't know if Reed's pro-Palestine as much as he's just bringing out, and I kind of hope so, at least, that he's just bringing out the atrocities and the stuff of Israel. And I think Palestine sucks as well, honestly. So that's just my own thing. But anyway, that was pretty good. So we're going to try to rip through these clips here. Got another one with Zach talking about Disney, because it's important stuff going on with Disney. I'm not going to get into the merits of the Disney case, but take it away, Zach.
As far as the Disney thing, I hate Disney. I hate everything about it. I went to Disney World once. I hated it. It was a disgusting park full of pigs. It's people, you go to concession stands and eat deep fried food on a 103-degree day, and then you go on a ride and then you feel like puking. You get sunburned. Your feet are sore. You're around your fucking family who's irritated because you've been up at 6 a.m. because you had to make a little drive, and now you've been at the park the whole day, and you know you're not coming back because you can't afford a fucking week's vacation. It's a disgusting park full of disgusting people. I think everybody who wants to go there should be executed publicly. Anybody who fucking has any interest in it, anybody who's watching Disney Plus over the age of 18 should be shot in the face because they are no use to our they're no use to our society. Everybody who likes Disney needs to consider suicide. That is the truth. Okay. Now,
also, they ruined Star Wars. Just throwing that out there.
I don't like Star Wars. I don't like Star Wars just because I never got into it. I don't despise Star Wars as much as I despise Disney. Disney is for fucking. It's for I had a little bit of an interaction with a Down syndrome boy today. He's a full grown man. He's about 5'6", very thick man. It was Down syndrome. They're thick. They're built. And he saw he had a little sticker on his shirt, and the sticker was of Mickey Mouse. That's the level of intellect that you need to have to be interested in Disney. Okay, so that means one of two things are happening if you're interested in Disney. You're either retarded or you want to fuck children. There's no in between in my mind. So as far as Disney, I hope Disney collapses, and I hope there's a horrible thing. I hope Putin invades us and he hits Disney World first. That's truly what I hope. And like I said, as far as the tranny shit with the sexualization of children and this this Disney CEO coming out and saying like, oh, I have 3 transgender children. It's like, well, whatever you're doing, stop then. Stop it. Okay. I don't know what you're doing. Stop feeding them. Get them on whole wheat. Stop with the Ezekiel shit. No more. Stop putting your bagels in the freezer, you dumb fuck. Because something you're doing is making those kids fucked up. You should not have 3 transgender children. The stats just don't line up.
I love that rant. And by the way, once again, I'm on 1.25, so if he seems extra piped up, that's what it is. Okay, we'll just keep moving on. Check that show out. Check out Unfit Statesman. Obviously, read both quality shows, and that was a good combo of the two there. I loved it. Okay. I did a super chat. This brother with Rekieta Law. He had on. The guy Law of Self-Defense who gets into it with Michael Malice all the time. I did a super chat on the show. So let's make sure this is all good, and we'll just share it and run it, and then I'll make a little commentary.
Yeah, sure.
Libertarian Podcast Review says, in California, domestic violence restraining order standard includes disturbing the peace. Rude text could be considered as such, and therefore her statements might be seen as true.
No. But
no. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just letting.
But what qualifies for a restraining order is not the same as what qualifies as abuse in a civil trial.
Why? He doesn't explain. And I know Rekieta's shaking his head. Yes, that's not all. And we'll go back here. There's in the civil trial. They're not having a civil trial over abuse. By the way, they're having a civil trial over whether her statements constituted abuse. Now, in family court, as an example, in California, if you want to say there's been domestic violence and there's a presumption that one of the parties has done this, there is for like custody or support. As an example, it just has to be a findings by the court of domestic violence. It could be findings in civil, family court, criminal, nolo contendere, a plead of that in the last 5 years. So he's completely wrong because the standard that they're going for, remember, this trial is not about whether whether there is actually, they're going to determine at the end whether he abused her or not. It's whether her statements were true and then all the actual things here. So let's keep going with Barnes here.
Those are 2 different things. They issue restraining orders like candy.
Yes.
And they ought to, I guess. It's fine. I don't have an objection. but that's not the same thing as a demonstrated example of abuse in an adversarial trial.
Yeah, and the trick is, does the jury believe she's domestically abused? And when the jury's heard a bunch of testimony about her punching Johnny Depp and no testimony except maybe there might be an instance where at one point he slaps her. Well, I picture that as domestic abuse. No, you don't. You can't possibly. You punched this man over and over. You chopped off his finger by throwing a vodka bottle at him. You cannot possibly consider that domestic abuse. And you as a victim of it, unless you consider yourself as a perpetrator of domestic abuse, in which no one believes you anyway.
Hey, Johnny Depp, if you need a self-defense law of defense, just call me, maybe.
All right. So, yes, Rekieta's going on David Brady's show. Jealous? Yes, I am. play them that clip? No. So all they have to do in the trial, and my point of this, which I don't believe it's going to be the case, is if they're pointing out, and they're, because this is what bothered me right away, was you're seeing some of these texts that he's actually, if he says it to other people, it's not a big deal, but he's saying it to her. You have a point where they can say, and then they put it back, not the standard of abuse in a civil trial. There's 3 standards. There's criminal, there's civil, and then there's the family law. There's beyond a reasonable doubt. There's clear and why am I not remember the other standard? And then there's beyond a reasonable doubt, clear and preponderance of the evidence. Anyway, there's 3 different standards. One is the family law is very easy, and it could just be disturbing the peace. And that was my point to that one. Therefore, if they can say, hey, look, this standard of abuse that she's claiming, and that she went for domestic violence restraining order, now she's writing a story saying that he abused her, which could be disturbing the peace. That was my only point. Okay. Rekieta. Anyway, check out the Rekieta law for a bunch of fun and fantastic stuff. We're going to go a little bit more into deep liberty Twitter, not Twitter, but shows here. This is, and this Chris was on our show not too long ago. It was Nap Time with Chris. This time he has on Toplobsta, and they got to do. They weren't, for some reason they're not on YouTube, so we'll do our best here with Odyssey. Sometimes it's a little sketchy with this stuff, but I thought we'd play this real quick. This is a robbery, assault, and murder game they play with Jose, Clint, and Reed. Go.
Wait, before you start, if Reed Coverdale is not in here, I will be so fucking mad. But go ahead, just go ahead. I'm about to violate the nap on you right now. Go ahead.
Number 1, Jose Galison.
Okay.
Number 2, Clint Russell.
Okay.
And number 3, just because I already had this planned, Reed Coverdale.
Hell yeah. All right, so rob, assault, and murder. Right? Okay. Right off the bat, murder, Reed Coverdale. That's it.
That's why I wanted it.
That's I'm like, thank God he's on this list, because I would, if it was murder, I'd pick him 3 times. Okay. So now we've got assault and rob. Now this is going to be controversial, because Jose's my boy. I would assault Jose because I feel like he would really fight me. He's like, have you ever seen him in real life?
Not in person. I've seen pictures, I guess. You know, seems like
the guy is
someone
wide.
I wouldn't really want to fight, but he would put up a challenging fight if that's what you're looking for.
Yes, he's wider than he is tall. I mean, he's built like a brick shit house. Like, he gave me a hug and I was like, oh my God, he's like a small gorilla. So I'm not very tall either, but I have some good boxing acumen. I think I could assault him. I think I could keep him away with a jab, but he'd probably end up just smothering and fuck me up. And the only reason I said this about Jose, I'm sorry, Jose, I'm not sizing you up, but I would definitely, you got to rob Clint, right? Because he's the richest.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's so true. Yeah. Instead of about like assault, yeah.
And he's such a cool dude. He'd probably just give me like, here you go, man. Fucking broke bitch. Yeah. I didn't have to rob you.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, Chris is in the chat here, and he says he just got his YouTube channel back. That's great. One, Chris, you still we got a new chair. He was on our Kill Tony episode not too long ago. We talked about that. We also talked about at the time how he's very good looking and probably like Jose Toplobsta. So it was like watching 2 of them, the same person on there. Anyway, I just thought I would real quickly mention here the legal standards for each one of these. Robbery is the taking and carrying away of someone's property without by force and fear. So that's what you got to do. That's what you're gonna have to do to Clint. Assault in the law of tort is it's assault. We talked about this actually when I was on with Adam. Assault is just putting someone under the fear or apprehension of being hurt. So battery is actually physically hitting them. Assault can be actually hitting them, but if you throw a beer bottle, like as an example, and they're not looking and hits him in his head, that's just assault. It's not battery. Just thought I'd say. And murder, obviously, the unlawful killing of a human being with malice of forethought. So those are the ones, evidently you want to put murder onto Reed. Okay, I'm going to play one more clip here. This was just to give you guys an idea of what the show Naptime is, where they play clips of different stuff. And I thought this was fantastic because this is one where you start out and you see it and you go like, oh, this dude's crazy. And then the more you watch it, and I'm not going to play the whole thing because I want to encourage you guys to go watch it yourself. And then when you go and actually see the clips, maybe it gives you a different idea. Here we go.
Angry customer situation. So I'm going to go ahead and let it play, and then we'll talk about it after.
Please don't yell at us. Yeah. You have no room to yell at us.
I want to speak to the fucking person who made this drink. Is that you?
No,
we
don't
know
who
made it. So. You don't know who made it?
There's 4 of us here, so we obviously don't know.
Fucking stupid, fucking ignorant high school kids.
Okay, bye.
I want to speak to the fucking.
Bye. Okay, you can call corporate whenever you want. Goodbye.
shit.
I'm calling the police. I'm calling the police.
I got the fucking telephone. Right now.
Do you
I got the telephone. Shut the fuck up.
Get out! You fucking right. Bye.
You're a fucking idiot.
Okay, good for you. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Shut up.
You shut up. You're not gonna tell me to shut up. The fuck? Who are you? Who are you?
Fucking immigrant loser.
What's that got to do with it?
Get the fuck out. You're going to jail. You're going to jail, you racist piece of shit. Bro, call the police now.
So, I wish we had an ending because holy shit, this guy is barging in, ready to fuck them up. Probably. I mean, God. Man,
Well, I've got questions. So this guy is angry. I mean, obviously this guy's based. First off, so it's very hard for me to find anything he's doing wrong here. I see these other wimps. They're wearing masks. They're terrified. He came in with no mask. He's complaining about his protein semen smoothie. What could possibly be wrong with it? That wrong?
I'll tell you what it was because I looked into this a little bit and it's actually it's pretty nuts. Because I'm like, why is this guy so pissed? It almost like doesn't add up. So apparently, what happened was this guy came in, he got a drink, and he specifically told them that his son was highly allergic to peanuts, and so he started drinking it. His son, and he had an allergic reaction, ended up in the hospital. So right now, as this is happening, his son is literally in the hospital. And so this guy came over here to confront them and find out who did it.
wait. Think of how warm that smoothie is. He threw the smoothie at her, right? So he got the smoothie. Then he brought his son to the hospital. God knows, probably 30 minutes away.
He's like, I'm going to show them. He's like, I got the evidence right here. Yeah.
You know what? I just don't. I think these girls are retarded. And that's not. I mean, that's not like that's not a revolutionary statement. Sorry, ladies, I love you, but this is. Listen, if you made me this mad, and this guy doesn't look like he's like a hot tempered dude. He has what is that, like a polo shirt on, like a half zip up one of these things. The guy's got his shit together.
You're talking about Patton Oswalt?
Yeah, exactly. The Patton Oswalt dude. His wife's dead. His son's about to die. And I mean, not for real. This guy looks like he drives like he drives like a Honda, maybe a new Honda.
Okay, well, we'll let you watch that. Patton Oswalt. That's exactly what I thought when I was first watching it. And by the way, there's no way he drives a Civic. That guy is a little short. He drives some sort of hopped up truck. Okay, just throwing that out there. But that's what you get from Chris's show. Fantastic. I've been watching a bunch of these, and it's hilarious. I just saw one of these on Legion of Skanks. Is it justified hitting? And they're having some women. And they justify, and you'd say no until you watch it, and then you're like, yes, I would crack my fist into that lady quite easily. Next show, we're gonna cruise through these because at the end you got a bunch of good ones here. This is Praxben was on with Praxben responds to Hasan, Piker, NoWayJose. I thought this was important because he had been featured on. Well, actually, let's just let Jose describe it. Here we go.
Yes, it's Praxben. If you guys are a follower of Part of the Problem, you guys may remember. This is like, it's hard to explain because there's like layers to it. Probably about, I don't know, maybe it was like a few months ago, he did this series, did a episode where he was shitting on Hasan, which those episodes are always great, where Dave goes after Hasan. And in that episode, there was a guy, I guess he's big on TikTok. I'm not a TikTok guy. Some of you guys may know him. He has a large TikTok account, Praxben. In that video that Dave was making fun of Hasan was making fun of Praxben. Ironically, anyone who has even a cursory understanding of libertarian theory really knows that he was actually only making a fool of himself because it was pretty awful. But yeah, that's who we got. We got Praxben today, so this should be an interesting one. I know he's routed some people up on Twitter as of late too. We may or may not touch on that. I honestly don't even really care about that shit, but I don't know. Some people do, and if you want to drop in the live chat and ask about it, we'll fucking go into it. I honestly don't really care. But as always, just so you guys know the format right now, if you're watching it on the 7th, you are watching the live stream, which is...
All right, we'll let Jose get into that. So I'm going to actually play you some of the controversy that we had here because I got involved in it. Let's see if we can find, is that the one? Yes, that is the one. Okay, so here we go. He puts out Praxben, who in his title here is called Hoppa's Son. Let's see if we can just enlarge this as much as possible. Okay, so he goes, he puts it, Will Porter, who works at the Libertarian Institute, and he puts it there, and he says, assistant news editor at the Libertarian Institute, staff writer at RT, which is Russia Today, I think, sometimes co-host of Con Interest, other bylines, anti-war, and da-da-da. So he posts that screenshot of Will Porter, who does great work, and says, yeah, this is all kinds of wrong. I would think the same if a libertarian writer was also a propagandist for the U.S. State Department. Okay, I get it. But I just responded, what are the odds those first expelled from Hans's own community are those with his name in their bio? I thought that was pretty apt. Anyway, that's some of the controversy, and he got railed for that. It partly is, and I get where he's coming from on that one, but part of the issue there is that Will Porter does great work. So I doubt he's stooging for, and RT is not a direct arm of the government. Maybe, we'll see. Okay, let's go in. So you got a few other ones here. Praxben, he said he was a little sick. He has 100-some thousand followers on TikTok. Crazy. And let's go in. This one is called, what's this episode issue here? I don't know. Let's just play it away and see what they have to say. I think
like perfect allies. I know it's funny because they are really many times shown to be at odds, and that's kind of fair. Agorists can be kind of cringy leftists sometimes. Some of the ones that get attracted to it. But if you think about it, the praxis that the Hoppians are shooting for, and the praxis the agorists are shooting for, they kind of perfectly complement each other. Which I guess that's kind of where you get some of the post-libertarian movement that you see now is actually in some senses basically that. But I mean, if you have a group of people who are trying to use political endeavors to, I guess, incentivize like private property rights and such, and then you have people like agorists who are just trying to be entrepreneurs, obviously they're kind of a perfect match. Like, and I mean, yeah, sure, both of us can critique the other, but at the end of the day, we kind of, I mean, whatever, like we work well together, I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider myself one of the post-libertarians. I definitely lean more in that direction of electoralism, but I think, sort of the whole, we shouldn't really care about principles, we shouldn't care about the non-aggression principle and stuff like that. I think that's getting into total ridiculousness. Kinsella definitely explains argumentation ethics very well. Also, I'd recommend, there's a guy named Liquid Zulu, Zulu. He's a small ANCAP YouTuber. He recently did a video where he explains it very well. And I highly recommend that. It's like 16 minutes long. And him and Anglo Libertarian also made several great videos kind of critiquing the post-libertarians, which are absolutely excellent. Now, I wouldn't say Hoppe would be in agreement with the post-libertarians.
No, I wasn't even saying that either. I was more, and I do want to clarify too. I think this is a common thing that happens. I'm not even necessarily saying you're doing it when it comes to describing the post-libertarians. I'm not trying to strawman them because the post-libertarians isn't. Whenever people say post-libertarians or praxians or whatever the hell they want to be called, they don't really have a solidified praxis. They're basically just a rough group of individuals that sort of have a
bone to pick. I just thought I'd finish this in. David comes out here and says the issue started, this is with Praxben, started with him dissing Scott Horton, having Max Blumenthal on the show, and claiming he had a Marxist point of view. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, you're right. I always enjoy when Max comes on with, and he probably does have a Marxist point of view. If you listen to Scott Horton's interviews, fantastic, by the way. He's pushed back on several, I mean, when you need to, but sometimes you just get an info, and you bring it in, and that's fine. It doesn't mean that you throw out Will Porter. So yeah, I did think that he was much better on this show than I had kind of seen previously, but this is them actually taking apart some of the Hasan Piker video itself.
A bathroom will appear out of nowhere. That's how it works.
It's a beautiful fucking future.
I'm not I'm not saying that the end all be all is cooperative corporations. I don't think that like everything should be a co-op. Okay, I'm not one of those individuals, but it's a good start.
Hassan looks like a retard trucker on a 5150 hold in your bedroom.
A lot better than fucking having an authoritarian, an inarguably authoritarian way of organizing your workplace, which is what we exist under currently.
Our empirical findings reveal that long-standing labor voice in corporate governance is associated with significantly depressed shareholder value, sale growth, and job creation.
No way, dude. No way. Are you telling me that shareholder value diminishes when workers have a say, dude? What? Fuck. That's it, bro. Yeah, that's the point.
On this part, he it just ignores the two other things I said. I'm like, job creation, sales growth, and he's like, I'll hyperfixate on this one thing.
Yep, he was looking for something. You can tell the way he is. It really does remind me of like being in an argument with like a catty on edge woman. He's just looking for the one thing to pounce on, and you gave it to him.
Because that's one of the major things with co-ops is, and I went over this, like that's why I went over that several times in this video. I'm like, co-ops don't create jobs. They don't grow. They just don't, because you have no freaking profit to grow. Like, yeah, you can have some co-ops sometimes that can work fine, especially if you have a bunch of retarded socialists who need to be appeased. Hey, go start your freaking co-op. But if you want an entire economy on that where you need more jobs and stuff like that, like it's not going to work.
Okay, let's stop here because let's get to the real issue. Hasan's let's see if I could expand this as much as possible. Look at Hasan's background. He's got posters. He's got balls and stuff in there. And then you look at Jose's. I mean, Jose's at least more organized. Is this the issue that you're taking? I mean, I think Jose's looks better. Hasan's just looks like he's crazy. He's got this random stuff. Like he came into your kid's bedroom and he just put up a mic. Where Jose, it's his own bedroom. I love y'all, but okay, we're done with that one. Good show. I mean, because if you saw some of the arguments and some of the issues there with Praxben, maybe gives you a little bit understanding. Smart kid, maybe needs to get out in the real world a little bit on some things. But I'm not necessarily going to argue with him because I think he'd probably take me down. So I think what he's doing on TikTok and stuff is pretty amazing. Sounds like he gets a lot of engagement and does well. And he was featured on Dave's show. So that was a good one there. And he was a little sick that time, but I enjoyed it. Nevertheless, whatever. Let's go here. Is this Liberty related? Maybe. I didn't care. I thought it was actually super enjoyable. This was Dan Soder on Ari Shaffir's show, Skeptic Tank. And Dan Soder is one of my favorites. He's Liberty adjacent because he's friends with Dave, and he's not one of the woke people. So we give him some credit for this. And this episode was fantastic. It was 2 hours and 18, but you cut out all the Ari intro and exit. It's about 45 minutes. No, it's probably around 2 hours, 2.5 or so. 1:45, I guess. We'll just start some clips here, and then you'll get the idea of what they're talking about. Dan Soder growing up didn't have the best life, but he's really going through it. I have a lot of affinity for Dan because, one, I love his comedy. Two, he's a big 49er fan, as am I. He grew up in Colorado. I lived out there for years. So, and then when he's talking about being out here where dad died at Clear Lake, I totally know where that is too. So I just have a lot of connections, and I'm like, what? We got a comment here. Starting at the beginning, trying to catch up on 2x. Go, because I'm playing these things at 1.25, so you're gonna have to speed up much more. Okay, and that might be wrong. Thanks for joining us. And once again, when it's done, just rewind it and start from the beginning. You're good to go. Ari Shaffir, Dan Soder. We'll start off with the first 50 seconds here. Intro.
I saw my dad when I was 10, 12, maybe 10, 11, 12. And then didn't see him again until he died.
Wow.
Like he moved up there and it was that rapid. He got hepatitis C from a
needle?
No, from a chick he was fucking.
Oh my
God. And it turned into cirrhosis.
Dude, like no offense, but like what trash? It doesn't make any sense that you come from such trash.
Well, my mom isn't trash. My mom isn't trash.
Okay.
My mom is college educated, worked in corporate America.
Does she just have a nice dick?
I mean, my dad could dick down, dude. No, here's the thing about my dad.
I don't think his mom had a nice one, Ari. I mean, I played this several times, and every time he says, did she have a nice... Okay, anyway.
Yeah, my dad was on the fringe of becoming trash. And then when he moved to that town, he gave up. He just gave up.
Okay, and then we got Ari's show. He has a long intro, about 20 minutes, and then you finally get to the part about Ari where he brings him in. So I thought we'd play some of this stuff from the beginning here. We're going to play several clips because Dan Soder, take a dive in there. If you want to talk about someone who's overcome, he's successful, he sounds like just a great guy. And then, by the way, watch this because Ari starts with no shirt. Next thing he has a shirt. And then later on, he's got a hat and a jacket. So it morphs, and it's got that I don't know. It's a good feeling show. This one is Dan Talks Stand-Up. And here we go. Talk Stand-Up.
Bullshit.
Yeah, dude. Outdoor correspondent Ari Shaffir.
I was surprised you said okay. I thought you were going to be like, nah, it's too hot. I want the AC.
I was in a cab.
Yeah, when you made the decision.
I was in an AC.
Like,
I was in air conditioning.
Beautiful out. Why wouldn't I be out?
Why would we do it outside? And then you get out here and you're like,
I took your shoes off.
I take my shoes off because I was like, all right, I kind of feel like
we're going to go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to have a July 4th barbecue up here. We had one last year. You're invited.
Oh, hell yeah. Thanks.
Your lady too.
Oh, I went to I had to go take a sad trip to my grandma's last July 4th. I wish I was here because she's just old.
Oh.
And, I wanted her to meet Katie. But man, what a bummer of a trip.
Yeah.
When your grandma gets like 95, you got to do everything.
And also it's like, you're definitely looking backwards instead of forwards. There's nothing more. You're like, I'm going to go to Italy next year.
Yeah. There's zero conversation about what's to come. And it's just like, that end of the life conversation where you're like,
has she talked about that?
No. Katie's the only one that's tried. I guess I'm a shitty grandson.
I mean,
she was like, what was your favorite decade that you lived?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. And she was like, she didn't have an answer. She's like, I don't know. They're all great. I can't wait to be honest when I'm just that old. And you're like, I don't fucking know, dude.
Yeah.
20s were a blur, 30s were.
That's I thought you meant like year decade. Like
yeah,
the 60s were excellent.
Oh yeah,
I think we do that thing where it's like we go like the 60s were this. It was like that started in like 63. What you're thinking of?
Also, it's all about the individual. You don't know who someone could have been like hippie age in the 60s and then done nothing, and then in the 70s just done blow and fucked, and you know what I mean.
Easy Rider.
Yeah.
At the end, he's like, we blew it.
Yeah.
We messed it up. We had a chance. He's
Yeah.
talking about the spirit of the 60s.
Yeah.
He's like, we had it, and then
Man,
we
that
all
really
became like
that wasn't a thing
corporate.
that kind of affected people. That like Hunter S. Thompson obsessively wrote about that. That's what Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is about.
Oh, interesting.
It's the
Really?
death of the American dream. Kind of saw it because I think at the end of the. I mean, this is just what I think it might be. Obviously, I'm always wrong.
Obviously, I don't know anything. So
Yeah,
I'm always.
But he really liked to write about like the death of the American dream, like kind of the end of the 60s broke him. That's why he ran for mayor of Aspen in 1970.
Why?
The Freak Party, because he was like, fuck all this shit. It's all broken. And like the hippies were big Democrats in the Democratic National Convention when they like beat the shit out of people in Chicago. He was there reporting on it.
And he's like, what are we doing? This is not what we stand for.
I mean, I think our generation's going through something similar with that, where like everyone's like, oh, if you're not down with super progressive liberals, that must mean you're a Trump
Fuck
fan.
you, kill that guy. Get
Yeah,
him
but
in
they're
here.
also like, that means you're a Trump fan. You're like, I hate both parties.
Right. Okay, so Jay's always talking about this. Like, I don't vote. I've never once voted.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to be like, you must be a supporter of the supporter of nothing?
It's like if I, as a wrestling fan,
Yeah.
if I was like, you don't like the WWE, you like AEW, and you're like, I don't like
I don't
wrestling.
like that's not
And
an
I'm like,
option.
no.
Yeah.
Then you like Ring of Honor. Then you're a weirdo, and you like
it really is weird. Where it's like
backyard
it's
wrestling.
the necessity to like drop, to like out people,
To other
get
people.
rid of them. It's to other them.
America's the best at othering people. We've
Yeah.
always done that.
Yeah, it is pretty lame.
It's like, dude, the best example is Rambo 3.
How's that?
Because it's like we're obsessed with beating Russia in the Cold War.
Yeah.
That the entire movie Rambo 3 is about Rambo training the Taliban.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh, how did that work
It's an
out?
Afghan. Well, I think
For
there's a
a while,
couple
pretty good.
a couple holidays and some moments of silences that you could tell how that went.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rambo caused 9/11, and not enough people are talking
yeah,
about
Stallone's like, I'm waiting for this. I bet he has an apology written.
The cutscene was like, this is a box cutter. It can do a lot. You can cut the throats. You can take now when taking over an airplane, you never want to land it.
Capitalize on the field, the people you're fucking with.
Allah Akbar. And they're like, hey, Sly, we got to cut that from Rambo
That
3.
belief that they'll survive
Yeah.
will drive you to victory.
For there will be a paradise on the other side. It was but that's everyone does that instead of just being like, the best part about America is you can be left alone.
See, this is what's great. They talk about personal stuff and they talk about it with humor. Okay, next that one was supposed to be about favorite decade in Rambo. Now they're going to talk a little bit about stand-up. Let's keep going. Keep slogging right through this as best we can. Dan Soder, Ari Shaffir, Skeptic Tank.
I did my first hour, which Shane was at. I didn't know him.
Oh, really?
He was just in the crowd.
Damn.
And he that hour I did for Comedy Central had like 5 bits that I was like, those are great. And then everything else was me being like, this is an hour. I can do an hour.
Right. I got to get there. I talked to Michelle about it once. It was
Yeah.
like the difference between like, no, I can entertain a crowd for an hour now, but this is not special work.
Yes. HBO was the first one where I was like, this feels like a special. This feels
I was
like,
there. It was great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was the most fun I've had doing an hour.
Yeah. It was a fun environment too. The
Yeah.
whole thing was fucking chill and cool.
It was great, man. That was probably one of the coolest nights of my life because everyone was there. It was in
Everybody
New
was
York.
there. You and Nate took a fucking walk through blackout memory lane.
My God, dude, that was a fun walk over. Me, you,
Yeah.
and Nate.
Yeah.
We walked over from the Bowery Ballroom to the Village Underground. They were
Yeah.
doing the Fat Black.
Remember what you threw up there? Remember
Yeah.
when we used to try to throw people out of the oh my God.
And Joe List, it was
Yeah.
pretty crazy because like, you know, making that walk over with some of the guys that you
started with,
like did those shitty bar shows and would black out. And then it's like, it was surreal.
You were barking.
Yeah.
And you're walking over these shows where it's like, it's the first level entry shit into New York comedy.
Yeah. That's why I'm really like, when we talk about Andrew Schultz, I'm like, man, he's doing Radio City. And I remember him barking.
Wow.
He was a barker.
It is nuts.
You know people like that in
Yeah,
LA.
Sebastian, we're like, you mean the guy
Sebastian.
that works at the Four Seasons?
The guy does a tour of arenas.
Yeah. And it's not like you don't think these people deserve it. You just still haven't forgotten the regular dude they are. Burr had a bit about it, about how when religious people like priests are supposed to have this connection to God. But it's like, but I went to high school with you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We drank together. What are you talking about? No,
Yeah.
Jim, no, you don't know God.
And that's what's funny because that's like Bobby and Burr are like that. Like Bill Burr to me is an iconic comedian.
Bobby's too started before me. I saw him on TV before.
But Bobby's like my older brother. So when I'm close, I'm very close to Bobby.
Yeah.
So when I talk to Bobby and then I have that like heroic tone about Bill Burr, he'll be like, shut up.
Yeah.
It's fucking Billy Burr.
I got like that with Rogan a lot. Too.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
you
well,
know Joe.
you've never waited for him to come down to the fucking hotel lobby when he said 10 minutes and it's been an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, you have friend problem.
Yeah, right.
That's why it's fun watching Nate Bargatze become
be massive.
the biggest guy. And you're like, I did
It's
American
funny.
Comedy Company in San Diego, and he was doing the Balboa Theater.
Yeah.
And Racine was opening for me, and Racine and I would just walk over and just hang out in his theater green room. And it was insane. But the most fun part was like, look at you, dude. You're in the big room. Like, you're in the big house.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
It really is.
And you're just like looking around, and then, yeah, because it's your friends. It's just your friends you see come up with.
Yeah.
So it's fucking cool.
Yeah. So look, there's some comedy bits in here. There's a little bit of serious stuff. So I thought maybe we'd show some of the serious things, because I think this is what's great. And, you know, you see these guys all the time, and then you get a chance to kind of, I don't know, hear some more personal aspects of them. Pretty good stuff. This is a little bit more. This is about Dan's being, like he said, California trash and bringing some heat into the house.
No, he was 22.
He was 34 when he had me. So
Okay.
so he was 44 when he moved to Lakeport.
Should be slowing down, but I get it.
Dude, man, he moved to that fucking town, and
what's Lakeport? He was the fucking cock king of Lakeport.
He was, because he had all his teeth. It's a lake town. That's a hack Lakeport joke. Yeah, man, it's near Clear Lake in California.
It's completely true though,
and it's like 3 hours north of San Francisco, about 2.5 hours, 3 hours north of San Francisco, and right east of Ukiah. And it's just like this fucking rural vacation town. And he moved there and became the bartender of the bowling alley, and would just
Your dad?
He would just go get fucked up, dude.
It's so weird.
I started visiting, and it got dark. That's when shit got dark. That's when shit went from being like, I love going to San Francisco, to like, I feel fucking nervous all the time with around these people. They were like aggressively like grab me and be like, hey, and I'm like, what? I don't fucking know you, dude.
Too drunk,
too aggressive, mean. Some of these motherfuckers were mean.
Yeah.
And it was like, when you see rural white trash, you see like real white trash. It's fucking unnerving.
Damn.
It's not like party. Like they say party, and then 2 hours later they're staring at you and they're like, who the fuck do you think you are? And you're like, I don't know.
I
This
don't
is
know.
getting
I don't know.
fucking
I'm sorry.
scary. And I was a kid. I was 10, 11.
Remember Easy Rider where they beat up and killed Nicholson?
Yeah.
Because it was like, I don't like you. You're an
Yeah,
outsider.
you're a hippie.
Yeah.
You're fucking weird.
Yeah,
You smoke
like,
weed.
And it's like,
Yeah, they beat him to death. But it was a thing where, like, I saw my dad when I was 10, 12, maybe 10, 11, 12, and then didn't see him again until he died.
Wow.
Like, he moved up there and it was that rapid. He got hepatitis C from a
needle?
No, from a chick he was fucking.
Oh my
and that
God.
turned into
it
turned into cirrhosis.
Dude, like, no offense, but like, what trash? It doesn't make any sense that you come from such trash.
Well,
I
my
mean, I know I
mom
didn't know you
isn't
as a
trash.
bruiser.
My mom isn't trash.
Okay.
My mom is college educated, worked in corporate America.
What was she? Did she just have a nice dick?
I mean, my dad could dick down,
Yeah,
dude.
it
No,
must've-
here's the thing about my dad. My dad was on the fringe of becoming trash. And then when he moved to that town, he gave up. He just gave up.
Damn.
He was like, I'm just going to get fucked up. Fuck that. I lost 2 kids. Because my mom and my sister's mom had a good relationship. Because when my parents got married, my mom was like, hold up, you got a fucking kid? And my dad was like, yeah. And he's like, my mom's like, you're going to get in touch with her. Like, fuck that.
And he's like,
I owe him money. And my mom was like, all right, then we're going to pay her back.
Wow.
And so my mom reached out to his ex-wife and was like, hey, I'm Gary's new wife, Trish. Let's fucking
meet up, schmooze.
Not
Talk
even.
about Gary.
I don't think they've ever met. They just talked on the phone.
I mean, why would you?
Yeah, but she was like, hey, listen, I'm married to Gary. I want him in Michelle's life. What do we got to do?
What did she say?
All right.
Do
And
you know
then
Michelle?
I met Michelle for the first time when I was 4 years old. She was 16. It was when we were living in Connecticut when that's where I was born, when my mom was in Gretna.
Yeah.
And then when we moved to Colorado, when I was about 9 or 10, my mom started buying Michelle a plane ticket. So Michelle's like 22. Michelle would fly out and stay a week or two with us in Denver, like once a year. And then I'd go visit her in California.
Oh, that's okay.
So we became close.
That's cool.
So like by the time I was 12, I had this cool older sister out of nowhere who like saved my
something in
life.
common with you too.
But told me it wasn't my fault. She was the first person that's like, yo, it's this guy.
She's 12 years older. She's been through it already.
She's like, it's the
She's
family.
like, I get what you're going through because I went through this exact thing with this exact guy. It ain't your fault. You're a lunatic.
Yeah, and also that was a real dark period in my mom like living at home because my mom had brought in my godfather, my dad's former best friend, who my dad had fucked it up by drinking and like showing up to their wedding uninvited and like throwing up at the wedding, just being like a real alcoholic problem. So I didn't like disagree why Joe hated my dad, but he brought that heat into the house.
All right. Once again, seems to get a little dark there, but Dan Soder is an open book, and Ari does a great job of leaving out. So I know some of these clips are a little bit long. So if you don't have the time to go, I'm going to play just 2 more here. And Dan talks about, actually, if you watch the Michael Malice interview with him, he goes into some more detail about some of this stuff. Fantastic, though. Dan Soder, Ari Shaffir, take it away. This is about his sister a little bit more.
Funeral.
So I went to his funeral and I was the only one that spoke.
What'd you say?
I don't know. I was like trying not to cry.
Fourscore.
I lied again. I was like, I love my dad. You know, my dad did a lot. You know, he was a good dad, and he wasn't. He just fucking lied to a room full of half-caring strangers.
I just speak at Mitzi's memorial. And I remember going like, whatever. I was just like, she was a cunt. Like, let's not fool ourselves.
Yeah.
Like she helped us all out a lot, but let's not act like she was this like nice person. Yeah. She was a fucking horrible. Wrecked and just ruined our lives every day and got joy in it. But we needed her.
Yeah.
But it's hard to not.
It's hard not to lie when you're trying to memorialize someone. And in that moment, I kind of did this psychological thing where I canonized my father. I made him like the Pope, like he was a fucking saint. He was like, oh well, it's genetic and his father had it, so it wasn't his fault. And then I just took that deep into my 20s.
Really? That was not his fault. It's genetic.
Yeah, that it was like, oh man, the alcoholism got him. He was a good dad, except he was an alcoholic. And then through therapy, a therapist was like, dude, that guy didn't fucking try. That guy, people try. And I was like, yeah.
Like you can try and fail. It's still a step up from not trying and failing.
Yeah, but I understand also why that fucking viewpoint got solidified was because my dad died December 12th, 1997. It was my freshman year of high school. And then my junior year.
The Mayan calendar ended?
Yeah, that was when we knew. But then my junior year, 1999, in October, Michelle was killed in a car accident right before I was supposed to call her.
Your sister?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So she got like taken out.
Oh.
Quick. So that was like a 1-2 punch that kind of just made me turn off for a while. I was kind of like, yeah, fuck the world.
Damn.
Like, well, there ain't nothing out there but just pain. No, I was, I didn't go emo or goth, but I got real into substances.
Okay. Last one here. Ari Shaffir, forgot to ask him a question. So this is relatively soon. Remember, Ari started this interview in a shorts, no shoes, and no shirt. And then he put a shirt on. Now he's got a hat, a sweatshirt, and Dan's got a jacket on.
We recorded the meat of this, and until now, I have added a storytelling show at the Village Underground, May 2nd, guys. Surprise lineup. As always, there. Sorry, that was for you, Marissa. But May 2nd, Village Underground. Get tickets right now. Hurry up. Okay.
Guaranteed to be a good show.
Guaranteed. Always is. Last one was fucking great at the Gramercy. Damn. I want to do this because I realized I had a question. Do you want to have children?
No.
You don't?
No. I did for a long time.
Is any of that associated with your dad?
Nah, yeah. I think so. I mean, I also, when we did a majority of this podcast, I felt kind of selfish, like I took it away.
What do you mean?
We didn't talk about your dad at all.
I didn't want to.
But I felt like I'm just trying to work on this thing of being a better listener and being like a better person. And I feel like I'm like, and just shit out my story.
No. Legitimately, when the person has a podcast, everyone's critique is, you host a podcast, why are you talking so much? The guest is on.
Yeah. I mean, that's I don't think I've never not heard that with the bonfire.
God damn, everybody's like, you can't get a word in with those guys. They have a rhythm.
Joe List had that roast joke at Lewis's roast where he goes, Dan Soder has a radio show with Jay Okerson where they called The Bonfire, where they invite guests on and then you wrestle to get a word in. Yeah, dude, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, don't worry about my dad. That's fine. My dad was
But I'm saying, you have a strong relationship with your dad.
The opposite. We talked about a little bit.
And but you don't want kids?
No.
And is that because of your dad?
No, not at all. That's a good point. That's a good retort to that question.
Why do you not want kids?
I could tell you where I've gotten to with why. I just have no interest in it. I always thought I would, and then it's just not there.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
All right, I'm going to let you watch that part. You go 20 minutes on that last question. And to me, it's almost a sad situation where I see two guys that I think are always maybe questionable. But Dan, going through this stuff, got his life together, seems like a good guy, and they're not having kids. So together, they should have kids. Anyway, great interview. Part of it for me is tomorrow we have my father-in-law's service. He died, a week and a half or so ago, and I've got to get up and say some things. And, you go through that exact thing of like, there could have been some shitty things in your life. Do you just memorialize them like there's some sort of lionized in a sense? Now, I've got plenty of good things to say about this gentleman, so it won't be a problem for me, but I'm not going to, sit there and glow about him unnecessarily. Okay, might be wrong started. Why is Ari shirtless? This is rough. Yes, it is. It gets better. He puts a hat on later. Okay, last one we're going to do here, I think, is Dave Smith. Got in the same vein as the Dan Soder thing. He goes on Daniel 318 podcast, Dave Smith, the Libertarian Tupac, and he does a few things. I thought it was great. Some of it was fatherhood, your belief system, and all those kind of things. So for me, it sunk in well. I'm in a good spot in my life. I'm preaching in a sense of what Dan's just talking about, and get your shit together, be that good person for your family and your kids, and do what you have to do. And then you got Dave Smith, who actually seems to be doing that. And Daniel, or Jacob, talks about, I don't know, I can't play the clip here, but it talks about how he actually delivered one of his children. Yikes. I had to kill one of our chickens the other day, and I couldn't do it. I just let it die. So good for him. I don't know what that has to do with birthing a baby, but like he said, you should do it if you have to. Okay, Dave Smith, let's play this clip. This one is about magnets on the wall.
My daughter's 3, and she's just in this amazing 3-year-old phase, and she had this magnet that she was like sticking on the fridge, and she was putting like a picture up with the magnet, and she takes the magnet off of the fridge, and she goes, Daddy, let's stick it on the wall. And I went, oh baby, the magnets only stick on the refrigerator, it's not going to stick on the wall. And she looked back at me and she went, maybe. and I was like, no, you don't understand, like the magnets, it'll only stick on the refrigerator, but it's not going to stick on the wall. And she goes, maybe, let's see.
Right.
And I was like, okay, all right, so like let's go see, like what can I say? And she just takes it over, she gets up on the couch and she stands on the couch, and she went to stick it on the wall. And I swear to God, I think I got trapped into just her 3-year-old magic of the world, where I was like, maybe, let's see what happens. And she just puts it on the wall, and it just falls right behind the couch. And then she just looked over at me like, and she goes, Daddy, what happened? And I went, you know what, I probably should have been like, I knew that was going to happen, but I got lost in your cuteness for a second. And now, but it's a huge couch. It's like a 4-sectional couch. And I'm like, I have a huge job on my hands to move this, to now get that out. But just the amazing moment of her going, maybe, let's see, like in this 3-year-old's eyes, I'm like, well, I can't rob her of this. Let's go test it out. And I don't know why. I can't even explain it, but I just go, that was just like the greatest little moment that I had earlier today. It was just magical.
It's great, but when they get older, Dave, you can't necessarily do that anymore. So you have to grind a little bit of the real world in them and say, no, there's no effing way that thing's sticking to the wall. What if you stuck it to a spot where there was a nail there and it stuck? Might be. Thank you. I got muted there. Okay, so we only got a few. You're good. Thank you. We're only gonna play a few more clips here from Dave, because I think you should go check it out. But this one is, what's this one? A mythical conversion. And Dave could go on, so we're not going to play his whole answers here, but I thoroughly enjoyed what they were. So Daniel asked him a question, and here we go.
These mythological creatures that supposedly doesn't exist. I'm someone who came from the left that Dave Smith, the alt-right Nazi Jew, did effective outreach to and brought into the liberty movement. Because I was a registered Democrat, big Bernie Sanders supporter back in 2014, 15 and all that. And I got shamed into voting for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I knew wasn't a good pick. I was anti-war back then, and I was just like, no, but I got caught up in the, orange man bad, Trump bad, whatever. And then I saw, and I've heard you cite this debate before, and you said you lost with Sam Cedar, because after Trump's first 6 months and how the left started kind of going really crazy, and the media was going crazy with the, it became, even to me where I was at, I was like, okay, well, I still kind of identified as a moderate left-leaning person. But I was like, okay, these people are just going so crazy that I can't follow them where they're going. So I started just, while I'm working and stuff, I've always listened to podcasts. So I don't know how it happened. I can't remember, but your debate with Sam Cedar came up, and I think, because you said you lost that debate, I don't know. I think it's just he had some points you weren't quite ready to counter on, unfunded liabilities and stuff. That was kind of what you guys were talking about. But you brought up some really interesting, you represented the message of liberty well, and got me curious. So then I started going on binge watching a bunch of other stuff that came up after I watched that debate with you. And so then I discovered Tom Woods. And then, I don't think any explanations needed after that. Right. Because then I realized all of the things that I cared about as someone who was on the left. I cared about income inequality. I cared about corruption in politics and corporate bailouts and all these things. And then once the connection was made that the root of all this was our monetary policy and the Federal Reserve, and then I kind of, found the Austrian School of Economics and realized why socialism doesn't work and central planning and regulated markets don't work. It just, very rapidly in 2017, 2018, I just very quickly fell down the libertarian pipeline, and the rest is history. But I wanted to bring that up with you because I've heard you talk about that debate a couple times and say that you didn't do so well. But it definitely caught my eye back in. I didn't watch it the year you did it. I watched it in 2017, late 2016, 2017 or something.
I think it was earlier.
We'll let Dave and go watch that, and then Dave does a great breakdown. I don't know how he remembers his points that he made there. I can't remember shit like that. First of all, objection, Jacob, compound. Was that even a question? That was a long. No, I'm just kidding. So let's go put some quotes here. Justin says, fact check this podcast. How much did Jacob pay you to promote his show? And obviously not enough, but I'm doing it anyway. Jason Booth said, that's like when a little kid hands you a play phone, you answer it. Imagination is a beautiful thing. Let them keep it up as long as possible. Exactly. I think I read a book years ago, Michael Medved, he's a talk show host. It's something about keeping kids basically innocent as long as possible. And I'm a firm believer in that. But at some point you need to grind them into the real world and kick them out of your house. Okay. Might be wrong. Says I actually started POTP from the beginning about 2 months ago. I'm on episode 699 right now. Dave really was aggressively atheist at the beginning in the beginning. And we're going to play some of those things here. And now he's a Christian conservative, says, fact check this podcast, LOL. Okay. So the next one we are going to play is God Talk. And so this is exactly what it is. And I think it's pretty brave of Dave. And you know, there's people like myself who have been, Christians all their lives. And sometimes we don't even feel this confident to talk about it as Dave is, who's just, I don't know what he is, but he just has a connection. And I think it's pretty cool that he's just open and honest about these kind of things. And this is what you should be in your life. You have convictions. I don't care what they are. State them out there. Some of the best things you can do is try to articulate your beliefs, whether it's in writing, whether it's on a podcast or whatnot. When you do, you sometimes realize, as you maybe heard really early in the beginnings, the Unfit Statesman, Zach Brown, talked about like some of his first shows, how it was horrible. Sometimes doing these podcasts, you talk your way through and you realize you don't have a firm grasp on things. You understand them better. The more you make arguments and everything else. Jason says, Giants won 7-1. Woohoo. I don't like the Giants. But let's go. Jason, Jacob, and Dave, God Talk.
I want to hear us talk about a bit more is how you went from atheist to, I don't even know if you would classify yourself as religious now or what your beliefs are, but yeah, what was that experience like for you?
Well, I don't know what I would classify myself as. I believe in God, and I pray a lot, and I feel like I have a personal relationship with God. I don't know. I don't really have much of an opinion or an identity beyond that. I don't really have a strong feeling on like what denomination or what religion is correct or anything like that. But yeah, so I was basically a lifelong atheist. I mean, I'm Jewish, and like I was bar mitzvahed, and my family like celebrated all the Jewish holidays, but there was never like a strong, like, you believe in God. It was always kind of loose. And most of the people in my family, even though we followed all of these traditions, were kind of atheists.
Yeah, no, my family on my dad's side is all Jewish, so I kind of know what you mean.
There's a lot of that in like Reform Judaism. There's a lot of just like, we're just atheists, but we like doing all this stuff. So
yeah, I remember my grandfather was like a devout atheist, but like super into all the Jewish like holidays and you know what I mean. Like he was upset. He was upset when my dad converted to Christianity, and like me and my siblings, we didn't get bar mitzvah or do any of that stuff, and he was really upset about that. Even though it was like, but like you don't care about any of the religious stuff. It was just like a cultural identity for him.
Yeah. So there was a lot of things. So I was like, as I got older in like my 20s, I was like really like kind of a militant atheist. Like I really just loved, even in my teens, actually. In my teen years, I remember when I was like in high school, I think it was my junior year of high school, maybe my senior year of high school. This is how old I am. Okay. So I got a TV VCR. Do you remember what that was? Where it was like one unit that's a TV and a VCR. Dude, I know to kids today, that's not like, what are you talking about? Dude, that was so dope at the time. Okay. And I had it and it was in my room. So I could watch videos in my bedroom. Just incredible. Now, today, not so cool. But at the time, really, it was a real chick magnet, was that TV VCR.
My old bedroom still has an old, I'm a little younger than you. So mine was a TV DVD VCR combo mounted on the wall. And it's still there. And it's like 140 pixel,
but I'm trying to
giant
explain
box
that you're a spoiled brat. You have no idea what it was like.
I'm going to let you all check that out. I think they go into the conversation really well. Last few things, might be wrong, says, I actually think being agnostic makes sense for Dave right at the moment. He always stated he loved libertarianism because philosophy admits we don't necessarily know what's best for anyone else's life. I totally agree. Anyway, that's what we have for today's show. Thanks, everybody. There was a few last things I would mention here. There was some other shows I was going to talk about last week and then just got too busy. Kill Liberty podcast. We're going to come up with another one this next month, so make a look for that. Join us. please be one of the participants. That'll be number 3. Clint has been having Judge Knapp on. Those are very good. Dave had General McGregor on. I enjoyed that as well. Break the Cycle with Josh Smith, with Toplobsta, one of my favorites always. And then Tim Pool had Brian Nichols on of Libertarian whatever show. It's with We Are Libertarians. I think he's part of that network, and that had over 360-some thousand. It wasn't an impressive show with Brian, but the Libertarian being able to be on there, I thought in itself, that was like I said, that itself was somewhat, I don't know about impressive, perhaps, but at least it was pretty cool to have on. So that's what we have. All right, everybody. Thanks again. Libertarian Podcast Review, episode 40, I think, in the books. So look for us next time. I'm going to try to do a deeper dive on some of these other shows. Until then, take care.
Okay, I'm leaving now. Bye, guys.
But she's back.
Chick-fil-A is completely overrated. It's not that good. I prefer Zaxby's. I prefer Popeyes.
Takes a tough man to make a tender forecast, Nick. And I guess that's me. Keep fucking that chicken.
Should I vote for Dick Cheney on the Libertarian Party? Do I have an obligation to vote for Dick Cheney?
I would say so.
Yes.
Did it work for those people?
No, it never does. I mean, these people somehow delude themselves into thinking it might, but it might work for us.
That one dude was like, not a podcast. I can't find it anywhere. And they don't have video.
Oh, yeah, Peter Janke. Yeah.
Yeah, I blocked him.
I'll do it. If he unblocks me, I'll...
He'll buy your shirt if you unblock him, Bert.
He's a wigger.
Yeah, nothing cooler than a 49-year-old wigger.
I
just started live streaming. Cut me some slack. I'm pretty high tech for a boomer. But anyways,
boomer.